there are atoms that makes up everything in this world. Like for example, this marker is also made up of tiny atoms, right? There are billions of atoms that have combined to form this marker. So you can say that atom is the very smallest small particle, very small particle, and it is also the building block of any substance. So any substance cannot be formed without the atoms. So the atoms combine together to form something like the marker, like the mobile phone, like this board. They all are made up of atoms. So this atom is the basic thing which you're going to study in the chemistry, and then from here you're going to advance into the other things, and you're going to go through these atoms every time. First of all, explain few of the terms that that I'm going to use, so that you should know the name of that. Like for example, the atom, I have already told you the atom is the smallest particle or a building block of an element, right? So let's talk about molecule. Molecule is when two or more atoms combine chemically. Now what does mean chemically? Chemically means that it has formed a bond, right? We're going to study 3 bonds in our later part, which is covalent bond, which is ionic bond, and then metallic bond. So it has actually formed a bond with the other atom if 2 or more. So minimum thing is 2. Like for example, H2. So these are 2 atoms of hydrogen that has formed to combine chemically to form hydrogen gas or hydrogen molecule. So if you're going to see hydrogen H, this is not a molecule, this is atom, right? So when 1, 2 or more atoms combine chemically, they form a molecule. But there is one more condition in this, and that condition is, I'm going to make a star here and write here, atoms of same element. Like for example, the hydrogen and hydrogen. So this is hydrogen molecule. Oxygen and oxygen. Like for example, you're going to study here in the later part HCl, hydrogen and chlorine atoms, they form together. So this, you cannot scientifically say that this is a molecule, right? So I'll explain you what you're going to call this. This is the atoms should be of the same element, right? This is how they form a molecule. And let's go to the compound. Now in compound, you have again when 2 or more atoms combine chemically. Now the term, look, this is identical definition, but there is only one thing which separate these two, is the atoms should be of different element, like HCl. One is of hydrogen, the other one is of chlorine. It can be 2O. This is sodium, 2 atoms of sodium and 1 of oxygen. So there are 3 atoms, and but they are of different elements, right? So they are combined to form a compound. So I hope it's clear till now. Now let's move to the next thing, which is mixtures. Mixtures. Now mixture is when two or more atoms of either same, similar or either different. This is not the condition for the mixture. Combine together physically. Now this is not chemically, right? So you don't combine them chemically, but do you combine them physically? And in physically, it means when you are going to, for example, you have a salt and you have a sugar and you mix it together, them together. This is physical. But if you're going to heat them, if you're going to form, put it into a solution, then you stir it, they're going to form a compound with each other. They're going to form a bond with each other. Therefore, that will not remain a mixture, that will become a compound. So for the mixture, that need to be physically mixed together, right? So no chemical, no bonding should be involved in this, right? So this is known as mixtures. So let's go to the further details. Now let's go deep into an atom. What is the atom structure? What is it made up of? Now before there was a scientist who which you're going to study in your physics radioactivity, you're going to study that. He carried out an experiment which is known as scatter diagram, where he identified that there were two scientists known as Geiger, Marsden. You don't need to remember this. These were the two scientists who carried out a alpha scattered experiment where they bombarded alpha particles. Now you don't need to remember what is alpha particle. Bombarded alpha particle on an atom, and they saw that maximum of the atomic particles they passed through an atom, which goes on to show that atom has a lot of empty spaces. Before this experiment, it was used to consider that it has a very huge nucleus and electron revolves around this nucleus this way. That's a huge nucleus. But after this experiment, they saw that maximum alpha particles then collide and they reflect back. So the one which have reflected back has collided with the nucleus. Now what is a nucleus? Nucleus, you can say it is a ball, a closed ball which has two particles. One is protons and the other one is neutrons. They both lies in here, right? And electrons are in the shells. These shells contain electrons. So these have electrons, right? So electrons are in the shells revolving around the nucleus, but the nucleus is very small. So if you go to study the structure of atom, this is structure of atom. It has a nucleus and it has electron revolving around it. There are three type of particles. One is neutron, one is proton. Proton and neutrons are inside the nucleus while the electrons are revolving around. Right? So I hope you got this structure. Now let's discuss about proton and electron so that you can see about their behavior. So first of all, I am going to make a table here. This is particle, their charge, their size, now this kind of table is very important because you normally he asks you 1 mark or 2 mark question on this. The particle number 1 is proton. Proton has a charge +1 on it and it has a one size 1. Consider that as 1. It's not a gram, it's not a milligram. You can, it's some quantity, you can say 1. They have standardized it 1 and then comparing it this with the electron size. Then let's go for neutron. Their charge is neutral, they don't have any charge, neutrons, but their size is same as proton. Let's talk about electrons. Electrons are negatively charged. Their charge is, the magnitude of their charge is same as proton. Like for example, if one proton has a charge, has some quantity of charge, that will be the same charge on an electron. So they are going to cancel each other's charge. But the size is 1/1840. So it is almost 2000 times less, the 2000 times smaller than a proton or a neutron. This is how small an electron is. Now remember one thing I have told you here, it is that this has a size 1, this has size 1 and this has 1/2000. So it's almost taken as negligible, right? It does not have any mass. So we don't consider mass of electrons while taking the mass of atoms. Okay, so now let's talk about the other sizes. Now as I told you about that this is a shell and this is a nucleus, and this nucleus has what? Protons and neutrons, while there are electrons on the outer shell. In a neutral atom, number of protons and electrons, they are always equal. So this goes on to show that the positive charge and negative charge, they cancel out each other, so there is no charge on a atom. Now, while this nucleus is positively charged, a very dense positively charged, while these electrons, they are negatively charged, so they cancel out the charge of each other. They only get, this particle only get the charge when one of them is lost. Like for example, you have less protons and more electrons, so there will be a charge on this atom, or you have less electron and more proton, again there is a charge on this. But unfortunately, this proton cannot leave this nucleus. It has to stay here. Only electrons, they move out or they come in and that I'm going to tell you how they're going to go out and how they're going to come in. Now you know that in an atom, for example, there is a sodium. I'm going to write sodium here. This sodium is written in a periodic table like this. Now the smaller number represents atomic number. Now what is atomic number? Atomic number is number of protons and electrons in an atom. So it means 11 proton and 11 electrons are present in this neutral atom of sodium, right? So this is going to tell you about number of electrons and protons. While this is also known as proton number, right? So you don't need to confuse it about proton number. Now this number is known as relative atomic mass. Now what is relative? I am going to tell you. Just wait. Concentrate on this. Relative atomic mass, or it can be called a nucleon number. So you can name any of them. Now this is number of protons plus, it is not and, it is and means 11 and 11, while number of protons plus neutrons. So if there are 11 protons in sodium, then this is 11 plus how many to become 23, so it means 12. So there are 12 neutrons and 11 electrons and 11 protons. So it means if you want to find neutrons, you have to subtract atomic mass from atomic number to get neutrons. While for electrons, you can simply see if there is no charge, simple atomic number is your number of electrons, and protons are whether there is a charge or not, they will be same 11 protons. So this is how you are going to break an atom into its different components. I hope you got it till this point. Now let me explain you what is relative atomic mass. A relative atomic mass, which is known as AR. This is the abbreviation of relative atomic mass. Now when the scientists started their invention of different elements or compounds, or you can say atoms, they were very much concerned that how they can arrange them according to their properties so that they get exactly a very arranged and fixed pattern, like in periodic table you see a very fixed and arranged pattern according to their atomic numbers, according to their charges and each and everything, according to their reactivity as well. So there is a trend in each of the group and each of the period. So how did they form that periodic table? What they did is they found an atom which was very abundant, which is carbon 14 isotope. Sorry, carbon 12 isotope. Carbon 12 isotope is so abundant that it is almost present in everything, almost in everything. So they took this as a standard and they then related that with the other numbers. Like for example, they took 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 particles. This is known as Avogadro's number. You don't need to remember right now. I'm going to teach you in moles. So 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 particles. excuse me. So these much particles, this is a huge number of particles. 6.02 into 10 is for 23. It means that after 602 there are going to be 21 zeros. So there are billions of particles. What they did with them is they took them and they measured their mass, and their mass came out to be 12. So now they took this as a standard. So the carbon has been named as 12, atomic mass 12, and this was a standard now. So now they're going to take these much particles of every element, like for example hydrogen. They took 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 particles of hydrogen and they found 1 gram mass of that. So they substituted, instead of relative atomic mass of hydrogen as 1. Similarly, they took 6 into 10 to the power 23 particles of magnesium and they measured the mass of magnesium, that was 24 grams. So they named it as 24. So it was 24 magnesium. So this is how all the elements they came into existence. That's why we always talk about this as a relative atomic mass. It is not exactly the atomic mass of this. It is relative. Relative what? Relative to carbon 12 isotope. So it is relative to carbon 12 isotope. So all the masses of the elements, they are related to carbon 12 isotopes. So the last thing of today's atomic structure is electronic configuration. What is electronic configuration? Electronic configuration means that the pattern with which these electrons they have arranged themselves in their shells. Like for example, I am going to draw the structure of sodium. How I came to know about how they have arranged themselves? There are 1, 2, 3 different shells, right? So although they are named as K, L, M, and these are the name, but you don't need to remember here. It's related to A levels. So in the first shell you see there are 2 electrons. In the second shell you see there are 8 electrons. In the third shell you see there is 1 electron. So the electronic configuration of this sodium is 281. Will the other atoms going to follow the same pattern? Let's see. I am going to draw structure of chlorine here. In chlorine, you have 2 electrons first, then 8, then 7. So see, there is one difference only, which is with the last shell. Look, 7 here and 1. So it means the first 2 are same. So there must be some fixed pattern for this. So that pattern is, in the first shell, the maximum number of electrons that can be catered are 2. In the second, it is 8. In the third, it is 8. In the fourth, you just need, in the fourth shell, only 2 more electrons. So for time being you can say that 8, although this is not the correct excuse me, although this is not the correct electronic configuration, but in all others you need to remember this one. In the first shell there are 2 electrons, in the second shell there are 8, in the third 8, and then in fourth 8. But you don't go in the fourth shell till 8 because you have first 20 elements in your syllabus which you're going to consider for electronic configuration, right, till calcium. So it means, now let's see how you form a configuration. Like I'm taking sodium here. Sodium is 11 and 23. So this 11 is going to tell me how many electrons are there. So now there are 11 electrons, and 11 electrons is going to arrange that they are going to come in the first shell, fill the first shell first, then second, then third, then fourth. In the first it is 2. So you are left with 9, 2 are gone. In the second shell it can maximum go to 8. In the third shell now 8 are gone, so only 1 left. So in the third shell this will be only 1. So 281 is the electronic configuration of sodium. Let's go for calcium. Calcium is 40 and 20. Now this 20 is 2 in the first shell, so you are left with 18, then 8 in the second shell, then you are left with 10, then 8 in the third shell, you are left with 2, and then 2. So this is electronic configuration of calcium, which is 2882. Okay, so now the last thing of the today's class is finding a relative molecular mass. Molecular mass, which is MR. And you're going to see this MR very soon in various topics like moles and others as well. For example, you have sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Now you have to find the MR of NaOH. So what you are going to do is you are going to see from the periodic table the masses of each of the elements, sodium, oxygen and hydrogen, and add them together. Now sodium, if you are going to see the mass, it is 23, oxygen is 16 and hydrogen is 1. So it is 23 plus 16 plus 1, 40. So 40 grams is the MR of sodium hydroxide. Sometimes you might, like for example calcium carbonate, you have to find this MR of calcium carbonate. Now calcium you are going to see from periodic table, it is 40 MR, plus carbon is 12, plus oxygen is 16, but there are 3 oxygens, so I am going to multiply 16 with 3. 40 plus 12 plus 48, so this is 52 plus 48 is 100. So this is my answer. So this is how you calculate a relative molecular mass. So we are going to end up our class today here. So I hope atomic structure is done and you've gone through the basics of the chemistry. So these are very basic things, and I'm going to use them in the various parts of the chemistry syllabus. So I need to tell you about these things. In the next class we are going to go for a kinetic theory of particles, and then we are going to move towards the major start, which is equation making, right? From there you are going to get a proper you can say exposure of chemistry, right?